Hey guys, and welcome to a battle featuring Raptor leading the forces of the Empire up against Cornelius here and his vampire Count Spooky Fellows. Should be a pretty fun game. We're on the very aptly named Plains of the Dead, and it's going to be a pretty cool showcase of one of my favourite units in the Empire roster, which I think is heavily underrated as well, which of course is the glorious Outriders with grenade launchers. Now, I've been singing their praises for quite some time since I saw them used very effectively by Darv Plays months and months ago. These guys are fantastic chaff clearers. They also do pretty decent damage to single and monstrous infantry, single entities, and all that good stuff with consistent damage. But their main role is to take out enemy chaff. And of course, up against the vampire counts, you're expecting a lot of chaff. So you need to protect these guys, of course, from dire wolves and fellbats. But to do that, we do have a couple of units of the Knights of the Blazing Sun. These bad boys do fire damage, making them very well suited to fighting the vampire counts and all their nasty regenerating units. And they're pretty bad to the Bones Shock Cav anyway, and look pretty damn glorious with the black and gold armour. I believe we have another unit of Cav on the field as well, if I can indeed spot it. And here it is in the back lines. It is the Royal Outdorf Griffites, the Regiment of Renowned Demigryph Knights, with their awesome kind of snow leopard, I suppose, or black leopard prints on them. These guys, the absolute masters of the anti-large cavalry, can really tear apart Terragooses, Vargulfs, and all those nasty enemies. Now, for the front line, you can see he's kind of paid a lot of money into the Cav contingent, so he's had to go relatively cheap and cheerful. Spearmen on the flanks just to hold the line, Flagellants in the centre pocket. These guys, of course, are unbreakable at least, devoted to Sigma. We also have the Sigma Sons, who are equally devoted and unbreakable, and their Lord Volkmar the Grim, not the happiest fellow in the world, despite his glorious twirly moustache, but he's going to be coming in with Grand Soulfire, Grand Shield of Faith, Grand Hammer of Sigma. He's of course got his Banishment and the Drade Griffin. We do have a Bright Wizard on foot here, which is one of those matchups you can get away without having to bring your cast on horseback too much. He's coming in with Power Stone, Flamestorm, a very risky move, and Fireball. Pretty cool stuff all round. Let's have a look quickly at the Vampire Counts build. So for the front line, they have a mixture of Skeleton Spearmen as well as Graveguard dotted through, so pretty standard stuff. We have the Sternsman, Regiment of Renowned Graveguard with Regeneration, one of the stickiest units in the game in the secondary line. Looks like they're going to be rolling dirty with Vlad von Karstein as well, who of course is going to bring in some pretty nasty spells. He has the Karstein Ring for that 90% damage resistance, which lasts 120 seconds. It's pretty crazy stuff all round. We have the Master of Beguilement as well, minus 40 melee attack, Arcane Conduit, Curse of Years, Raise Dead, Gaze of Nagash, Dance Macabre, and of course, as always, Invocation of Mehek. In the kind of deep reserves here, almost quite far back from their main battle line, we have a ton of Crypt Horrors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units to be exact here. And the reason he's kept them a little bit further back is probably to kind of dodge any missile play, cannons and the like. But once he realises there are none on the Empire forces, he will be moving them up, no doubt. And it looks like a pretty simple battle plan. You engage with your Spearmen and your Grave Guard, then you saturate on top with the Crypt Horrors, and while the infantry takes the damage, these guys deal that damage out. And Crypt Horrors are actually not too bad against cavalry and single entities themselves, because they have decent mass, armor piercing, they can pin in troops, poison them, and slowly drag them down. To round out the build on the far side, we do have one unit of Dire Wolves, and is it just the one Dire Wolves? It looks like we do indeed have two, so one on either flank, and the one a little bit closer to home is the Dire Pack, the Regiment of Renowned version. So in come the Outriders with their grenade launchers, and they are going to absolutely demolish enemy chaff. And you can see the Skeleton Spearmen just taking huge damage straight out of the bat. One volley from each unit, and they're already starting to crumble, which is glorious stuff for the Sons of Sigma here. Knights of the Blazing Sun are going to push out, and their main job, at least for the start of the battle, is going to be to protect the Outriders and allow them to clear through this chaff as quickly as possible. Looks like one Dire Pack is getting into a dire situation, but they do manage to pull back here. Very wise play there, coming in by the Vampire Counts player, as their forces do at the moment slowly start to advance. Outriders already up to 50 and 29 kills off a couple of volleys. Pretty impressive stuff. The Royal Outdorf Griffites do charge into the Dire Pack, and they'll be able to tear them down very quickly despite the Dire Pack's anti-large. quite a bit of friendly fire coming in there by the Outriders, although it does clear through the dire pack in one glorious joint volley. The Altdorf Griffites probably want to fall back a little bit now. Knights of the Blazing Sun are overextending a little bit here. Crypt Horrors are trying to react, but as you can see, the Outriders are blitzing into a second unit now, completely deleting it from the field. Volkmar has gone as deep as possible into enemy lines, going straight after Vlad and the Sternsman. Looks like he's getting a little bit of support from the Sigma Sons, and he's going to be dropping his bombardment and all his buffs, helping him clear through the chaff. And once again, we have more Outrider support coming in. Now, it looks like we have a banishment. Oh, and there's a flame storm coming down, roasting those Graveguard and destroying them. But at the same time, the Empire also taking a bit of damage, but I'm sure they won't mind if it's in the name of Sigma. Now, on this left-hand flank, you can see the unbreakable troops of the Empire holding back the tide and getting the absolute snot kicked out of them. Crypt Horrors is going to be starting to rack up a pretty decent kill count here, but still, they're doing their job, holding the line and allowing the rest of the build to kind of win in other key areas of the match. Now, in the back lines, it looks like Knights of the Blazing Sun were pinned in a little bit by Direwolves to allow the Crypt Horrors to finally catch these guys. And on the charge, this matchup will certainly favour the Crypt Horrors, but they do have regeneration, so the fire damage will help from the Knights of the Blazing Sun. But they want to pull back, turn around and charge in to get that lovely charge bonus. Looks like we have a fireball going in as well, helping finish off the model. Now, in the main battle, we do have the Skeleton Warriors, a nice summon here in the back pocket, trying to catch Raptor's micro slip in, but it looks like he is well aware of their arrival and is going to be pulling back with his Outriders before turning and engaging once more. Volkmar is holding the line in this centre pocket rather easily. An upgraded invocation is going down, trying to keep the counts in this fight in the centre. However, the Empire are going to have a big problem soon, and that is going to be 3 units of angry Crypt Horrors pushing through their main battle line, and some Graveguard as well. Looks like the Bright Wizard is coming over here as well, just trying to assist any way he can. And the Outriders are unleashing hell once more on top of the Graveguard and the Sternsman. Looks like we're going to get either a Flamestorm or a Banishment coming down here. And it looks like it is a glorious Flamestorm chewing through the Skeleton Warriors, although they are just summons, and in some damage to the Sternsman. Unfortunately, this Flamestorm not quite as successful, and it does kind of dance away. It is, of course, randomly moving in different directions. Looks like the Knights did manage to pull out and charge back in. We have a fireball coming in and clipping the Crypt Horrors, and some nice cycle charging coming in as well from the Knights of the Blazing Sun. They need to wrap up and around here, and that looks like just what Raptor is doing. And before charging in once more, trying to get as many models into the action as possible, but good cycle charging. Once one unit charges in, a second one pulls back and then recharges back in once more, pinning in the Crypt Horrors and doing some really disgusting damage. So lovely micro there by the forces of the Empire. Outriders are obliterating any troop which is spawned onto the battlefield here. These poor zombies, again, absolutely annihilated. The Bright Wizard has found himself in a rather sticky situation. A very angry Vlad is starting to run after him, but it's going to be a little bit of Benny Hill as Volkmar actually pushes Vlad towards the Bright Wizard, but also staggers him so he doesn't get an attack off. That's been a real big betrayal. Volkmar is struggling a little bit here to deal with Vlad, and with the Sternsman there and himself getting isolated, the Vampire Counts certainly have a way back into this game, as they have a nice chunk of kind of a second wind coming in here. The forces which won the right-hand flank with a big fat invocation heck on the triple Crypt Horrors. They'd certainly be in a good situation, but there's a ton of Knights of the Blazing Sun left, and the Outriders still have about a third of their ammunition, if not a tiny bit more. Blazing Sun Knights do charge gloriously into the horrors of the night with their flaming lances illuminating the way. Crypt Horrors will probably be going down here simply due to the roll out of Griffites and the fire damage, but at the same time they're giving it a pretty good tit for tat here, as the Knights of the Blazing Sun do slowly get dragged off their majestic horses. Outriders are even considering charging into combat before once again deciding, you know what, we're going to do what we're best at, and that is shooting grenade launchers from afar, so they do indeed fall back. We have some rallying spearmen for the Empire in the distance, trying to get back to the main engagement. Knights of the Blazing Sun are looking to run out of steam here a little bit, as the Royal Outdoffs and the second unit do decide to retreat. But they did massive damage to the Crypt Horrors here. Some more fireballs come in. It would be pretty nice, and it looks like one is going to swing in, but catch a Crypt Horror instead of its intended target. But still, it's free damage. Outriders are up to 195 and 181 kills so far, really helping chew through this chaff. Looks like they are currently focusing down some zombies, but they've been doing good damage across the battle, and the Sternsmen are now really starting to feel the burn. Royal Outlaw Griffites are dancing in once more, going to be charging in gloriously here, trying to hunt down the remainder of the Gripped Horrors. But it looks like a banishment has been popped. Volkmar probably wanted to use it a little bit closer to himself, but unfortunately you cannot call banishments, Pit Shades, any of those type of spells kind of on yourself. She may be Pit Shades, but definitely not bound banishments. Volkmar is now taking a pretty hefty beating. The Sternsmen and Crypt Horrors are certainly no joke, and his Pimp Wagon here is going to have to drag him away as fast as possible, but he's starting to get a little bit danger low. 1,900 health isn't a huge amount. In the distance, the mighty Bright Wizard, who's done a pretty decent job so far with his fireballs and flamestorms, is going to kick a Crypt Horror in the groin and take him down. And he's holding the line pretty well for a kind of puny human wizard. And it looks like the Crypt Horrors are actually starting to crumble here, so he should be able to win that engagement as the Knights once again gloriously charge in here, trying to run over the Graveguard as well as the Sternsmen. And they do go through the fire and the flames here as grenade launchers once again follow the Royal Outlaw Griffites wherever they go. And it looks like Volkmar still debuffed at the moment, is going to be legging it for the hills, and so is the Bright Wizard, but in comes the cavalry charge as the Outriders even go into combat here up against Crypt Horrors, just trying to help out with the huge amounts of mass that they're going to have and the sheer number of attacks. Dance Macabre has been popped on the Crypt Horrors, trying to give them the speed to catch the Bright Wizard. And it looks like one of them is going to be able to do so, but he's going to get dragged back into kind of the mess of cavalry here. Vlad is still very healthy, but at this point in the game, the Empire is sitting pretty comfortably. They've almost used up all their ammunition on their Outriders, but through sheer weight of numbers, they should be able to win this now. The Fireball does clip one of those last remaining Crypt Horrors, and it looks like the last one is about to receive a big old chunky vengeful charge there from Volkmar, but the Counts player is going to throw in the towel, and I think that's probably the right decision. The game is pretty much over, but very well played to both players. Always good to see some good Empire and Vampire Counts action, a kind of an old school grudge match from Total War Warhammer 1, and my god did those Outriders do insane damage. 216 kills and 212 kills. That's what, 428 kills? That is insane stuff across the board. And yes, it's just clearing out skeleton warriors and chaff, and it did do pretty decent damage to Graveguard all round, but that is one of the big problems you suffer coming up against Vampire Counts. It's pivotal you kill the chaff quickly, and therefore you can isolate the Crypt Horrors with your Knights, drag them down, and kind of pull them through the mud. They have no meat shields left, so certainly the MVPs here, for me at least, were the Outriders doing massive damage. Bright Wizard as well, nice shout out to him, kicking some Crypt Horrors and dragging them down. 132 kills with a pretty wild Flamestorm. It's always good to see the kind of spells you don't see, every single game kind of being used a little bit more to good effectiveness as well. Well played for both Raptor and for Nelius here, going for a pretty standard rush build, but again he executed it pretty damn well, crushing the right flank of the Empire, or I suppose it was his right hand side, and making a very close game in the end, even though he couldn't drag down the Outriders. So hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, feel free to give the video a big old thumbs up and subscribe, and like Raptor, if you want to send your replays to me and have them featured up on the channel, feel free to join my Discord. There is a tab in the description just down below. Now, the one thing I would say about this Counts build, now that I'm thinking about it, it certainly lacks mobility. I think 1 or 2 Fellbats would have been brilliantly added in here. Maybe take away 1 Crypt Horror, go a tiny bit wider, and add in some Fellbats. They're useful up against artillery crews, handgunners, crossbowmen, and they can even chase down Outriders for a little bit and keep them a little bit more distracted. But still, awesome game all round. Hope you guys did enjoy overall. So until next time, guys, peace, and as always, stay awesome.